no, motion carries that the bids will be rejected and will be considered later on. Old business. Number one, the city council may receive the city secretary's certification of petition signatures for two petitions for initiative proposing the following ordinances. Now, number one under that is an ordinance amending ordinance Article 13.04.101, Division 3, maximum allowed price differential between the total cost of electricity paid from its wholesale electric provider and the total price charged by and through the city of Coleman while operating as a municipally owned utility. Second part of that is an ordinance amending Ordinance Article 13.04.010, Division 3, electrical, requiring that the municipally owned utility be divested within a designated time. Following receipt of this certification, the city council may consider, discuss, and or take actions regarding one or both of the proposed ordinances. I would like first for our city secretary to relay the information on her certifications. We have it in our packet that the petitions have been certified. Karen, would you please?
I'm Karen Mosley, City Secretary of the City of Coleman, Texas, do hereby certify the following regarding two petitions for initiative filed in my office on April the 10th, 2015. Petition for initiative with the following caption: Petition A, an ordinance amending ordinance Article 13.04.101, Division 3, maximum allowed price differential between the total cost of electricity paid from its wholesale electrical provider and the total price charged by and through the city of Coleman while operating as a municipally owned utility. Petition A consisted of 126 pages filed in my office on April the 10th, 2015. Petition A was signed by 148 registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. Petition A was signed by 49 persons who are not registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. Petition A was signed by 334 persons whose petition signatures were void because the affidavit attached to the petitions did not provide the required language for the affidavit, that it recited a wrong filing of the petition, and or there was not an affidavit as required by the charter. To meet the requirements of the city charter, a petition for initiative must be signed by registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman, equal in the number to at least 30% of the number of votes cast at the last regular municipal election of the city, or such petition must be signed by 100 registered qualified voters, whichever is greater. At the last municipal election, May the 10th, 2014, 374 voters cast ballots in the election. Therefore, to be a valid petition for initiative, Petition A must contain 112 signatures of registered qualified voters. Petition A contains a significant number of signatures of registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. Petition for initiative with the following
Mayor,
caption.
we're not being able to hear. Are the mics? Are they able to go up?
Thank you, Sam.
For petition B, an ordinance amending. Does that help?
It's real hard to hear you.
How about now?
Yes. Good.
An ordinance amending ordinance Article 13.04.101, Division 3, electrical, requiring that the municipally owned utility be divested within a designated time. Petition B consisted of 121 pages filed in my office on April the 10th, 2015. Petition B was signed by 139 registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. Petition B was signed by 50 persons who are not registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. Petition B was signed by 306 persons whose petition signatures were void because the affidavit attached to the petition did not provide the required language for the affidavit in it, that it recited a wrong filing date for the petition, and or there was not an affidavit as required by the charter. To meet the requirements of the city charter, a petition for initiative must be signed by registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman, equal in number to at least 30% of the number of votes cast at the last regular municipal election of the city, or such petitions must be signed by 100 registered qualified voters, whichever is greater. At the last municipal election held on May the 10th, 2014, 374 voters cast ballots in the election. Therefore, to be a valid petition for initiative, petition B must contain 112 signatures of registered qualified voters. Petition B contains a significant number of signatures, sufficient number of signatures of registered qualified voters of the city of Coleman. This certification does not certify the sufficiency or legality of petition A or petition B under applicable law, including without limitation the city's charter and our state law.
Okay, thank you. I know that there are several here tonight because of this petition. I would like to give a chance for some people to speak. I know that all of you can't speak, and perhaps all of you don't want to speak. I would like to let the ones who started the petition, if they want to speak for just a few minutes. If not, we'll move on and let the council ask some questions, and then we will be able to let the other citizens speak too, because it is important that we let the citizens speak.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Myself and a couple other citizens have been very involved in trying to bring the petition to this conclusion, and of course we hope that conclusion is to bring it to the ballot so that the citizens can vote on it. One of the concerns that Mr. Pat Chester raised early on was that he felt that possibly the petitions, both A and B, would not be appropriate. And what that means is that the petitions would not be valid instruments, in that citizens would not have the right to request a particular rate or the sale of the MOU. We did do quite a bit of research on this, and I have now provided everybody here with a significant amount of information showing that both of these petitions are indeed what's called legislative, and by that they are subject to both referendum and initiative. What that means is the citizens do have a right. They are fully within the legal course of process, and this petition should then be certified as it has and either been voted on now or be brought to a ballot so that the citizens can vote on it. What I've done, Mr. Chester, is first off, we have a summary document that just kind of lays out the legislative character of these two actions. I've also included all the cases that cite the case that you gave me, which was Quinn, which was back in 1938, and this is what I understood you to build your case on.
Remember, I just told you,
Right.
that's one of the reasons.
Sure,
Right?
sure. And I'm sure you're going to speak to it.
Not today.
Okay. And so what we're really trying to imply here is that this petition is a legal instrument. The voters have let you know where they stand. They want the electrical rate reduced, and they want the system sold. There was a significant number of people that signed the petition. I do believe it's a very clear voice, very loud voice. It's what they're asking you to do. At this point, what we're asking you to do is simply let it get to the ballot. Let the people decide. If it's not the right option, it's going to fail. If it is the right option, then it is the correct action to take now. And I do want to throw in something, and this is important to understand so that you guys know something that Mr. Chesser probably understands, and so I'm not giving away any secrets. An initiative is really only good for 2 years before it can be repealed. In other words, the city council, 2 years down the line, could repeal this. That is, if you allow it to go to ballot, and you decide that there is no way the city's going to make this, you can repeal this petition. The 12-cent petition, you could repeal it. So there is essentially an escape route. Now, I'm not advocating you take that route. Obviously, I'm asking you to bring it to a vote and let the citizens decide. That's the legal course that should happen. That's the democracy that runs our country. We need to understand that this is a democratic movement, and it's within the legal realm of what the charter has specified, and we're within all state laws. If we don't do this, then essentially we are not following what has built our country. It's really that simple. We've got to follow the democratic process, and that's what we've got here. And I'll be happy to talk with any about the actual cases that I've cited here, Mr. Chesser. Be more than happy to talk about the legislative versus the administrative action, and why these two petitions are legislative, and therefore they are appropriate, and I believe that we have a very strong case in that regard. Thank you. Is there any questions?
May I address the council as well? Yes. There you go.
Especially the two in the middle. They don't care anything about people calling.
Hi, my name is Sarah Lemoyne Knox, and as we all know, I can't deny my involvement in this, and my participation. And I really am just going to take the emotional side on this, and I am going to say, I wish y'all would have had 5 minutes in my office to hear the stories that I heard. 5 minutes. This is not a wealthy versus poor. This isn't a council versus, non-council members issue. This isn't an old person versus young person issue. Businesses versus non-businesses. This is a community issue that affects us all. And as you can tell by the people here that are here, it affects us all. And that's all these petitions really are. That's the intent, and that is the purpose of these petitions, was to allow these people to have a voice and to be heard by you and by the city and by AEP and by everyone. And that's the purpose of a petition, is to allow them to hear their voices. So I'm just urging you to hear those people's voices. And yes, some of them were disclaimed, but there was about 500 people who signed those. And yes, maybe all of them aren't registered voters, but they do. Some of them pay bills here. They receive money from CTO to help pay those bills, and they have other bills too, and they have been adversely affected by this. So the purpose of these petitions was to, one, show y'all that, ask y'all, actually, to come up with a 5-year plan, not to amend the contract again, and to provide some relief to your people, to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Chesser?
Well said. Eric Joffrion. Several years ago, the city issued an RFP, request for proposal, for a sale of the electrical system. They received 2 replies, one from AEPTX, I believe, and one from the co-op. Co-op being the better bid. Nothing was acted upon at that time. Since that time, the contract has been renegotiated a few times with savings based on what would have happened had we stayed with the initial contract. But that savings came at a terrible cost to the citizens of Coleman. Had the city council at that time honored the RFPs and gone ahead and sold to the co-op based on the best numbers available without seeing the contract, it appears that the city would have saved, or the citizens, the electric purchasers within the city of Coleman, would have saved at up to this time somewhere around $4 million. The system, according to what was done a few years ago, is worth somewhere $5 to $7 million. We will have spent that in excess fees. We, the electric purchasers, will have spent that in excess fees by the end of the contract if the contract goes to its full termination. There's some information going around that the city cannot afford to operate without the electrical system. In looking at the numbers, I've looked at the numbers and several others have, and we've looked at them from several different angles. The city can function without the electrical system. There are 72 MOUs in the state of Texas, and there are a lot more incorporated cities in the state of Texas. So there are a lot of cities surviving without having an electrical system to support their city business. It's not too late. There are several years to run on that contract. It's my opinion that we should redo the RFP and see if we can negotiate a sale to the co-op and get out from under these horrendous rates that we're currently paying.
Awesome. Questions for anyone? Mr. Chaser, you made the statement that you would not comment tonight because,
Well, I figured we would talk out and talk to y'all, but all of y'all, usually the legal has to do with executive session.
yes ma'am.
Some time ago, I don't know exactly how I worded it, but I asked for a study to be done on how the city, what the city would be able to do without the electrical system. And somehow or another, it just kind of fell apart. And I don't know that study was ever done to assure council that there are ways to provide city services without relying on addition to our the electric rate. Whatever happened to that?
Chaser, do you have an answer to what happened to that?
Council did not direct me to do a study on that.
Would y'all speak to us? We can't hear anything you're saying.
Okay, the council did not direct the city manager to do a study as she has suggested. That did not happen.
I'll have to look at the minutes, but I disagree. There was a study done, but it wasn't in what I had suggested or asked for. There was a study done. And it's been a while ago, and I don't remember the details. I'd have to look it up in your minutes.
Well, we put out an RFP for companies to do that. And
Somehow or another, it just didn't apply.
yeah, that went nowhere.
There was a study done, and it just wasn't what I had asked for.
Okay. Anyone else? Citizens, this is your time to speak if you want to speak.
Well, I do. I don't understand why we can't have a choice of what companies we use. I have to use Verizon. They're twice as high as Coleman County telephone. I have to use y'all's electricity. It's twice as high as what Coleman County Co-op has. And I don't understand that. I had a house out at the lake that's twice as big as the house I've got now, and I'm paying as much or more in electric bill. And I don't understand that. And I don't understand how y'all are just sitting there listening to us and saying nothing. We need something done. We need for y'all to care about us. We put you in there. And we need help. My husband and I are on fixed income. And do you realize what a $400 just electric bill does to that? Maybe y'all have a whole lot of money. I don't know. But the people of Coleman County do not. And y'all are sitting there with no expressions, not even caring what this young woman said. We're here to get something done, to hear somebody say something about, hey, we'll look into it. Hey, we'll see what we can do. We will fix this for you because you are there for us. And if y'all don't do it, who else is going to do it? Are we going to have to continue to pay these high prices? Did you know my son pays 5 cents a kilowatt in Dallas, Texas? 5 cents. He has twice the house I have, and his bill is much, much lower than mine. And I just don't understand how y'all can sit there and look non-caring. You didn't even say anything. You didn't ask any questions. You didn't do nothing, and I don't understand. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Yes, I'm a citizen and a registered voter. It's been a long time.
Stand up.
Can you
It's
stand
been a
up?
long time, but not too long ago, when I got my electric bill, I got, you know what, a brick. And I had to actually go to CTO, which is below my standards. I'm used to paying the bill, but it's like, what? Are you kidding me? $400? 2 people in a house? No way. No air conditioners running at all. I had to go to CTO and have them help me pay my electric bill and my gas bill on top of that. And I was actually happy someone actually helped me. CTO actually helped somebody in Coleman do it. We voted all of you in here to help us. And what are we here? Not a single word. Everybody's mouth shut. They don't say a damn word. I'm tired of it. Help us. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My husband and I came to this community about 2 years ago and purchased a home because Coleman is a lovely community. We really like the small town atmosphere. We love that y'all are tight knit, and we just really wanted to be a part of that. We were in escrow on our house, and somebody that we're friends with in Brownwood who works here in Coleman called us and said, do y'all know that they really have high electric rates? And, you know, my husband and I were like, no, we haven't heard that. And she's like, yeah, they talk about it all the time. You really need to think about that before you purchase your home. Well, we were kind of stuck. We were already in escrow. So we've got here, and, you know, we deal with it like most people. But let me tell you, you go down any street in this town, and how many houses do you see up for sale? You know, it's a problem. This community is dwindling at this point. And this electric situation is not helping it whatsoever. You all were put into office to listen to your citizens. And I know that many of you are trying your hardest to do that, but some of you, it seems like, don't really care to listen to any of us. And when you get this turnout at your city council meetings, you need to start paying attention. Thank you.
You've heard the people speak, council. Now do something about it or resign. You know, we don't need you if you're not going to do anything about it. If you don't have the guts to do it, get up and leave. So just
Yeah, I want to know who's profiting from this, because to me, there needs to be an investigation into y'all's financials to see who's getting money, who's getting kickbacks from this deal. Because it doesn't make sense that we're all having to deal with this, and you're trying to block it, you know, we want change, you're trying to block it, and it's just a win for us. So why are you trying to block a win for us? What are you getting? You know what I mean? Let's look at your financials. We need to have a criminal investigation into y'all. Whoever had a hand in creating this contract and whoever's actively blocking this campaign needs to be investigated.
Anyone else? Council, do you have any questions? Mr. Chesser or Alan? Not? Yes, sir?
I'd like to add just a little historical perspective for the people that might not know. But Coleman used to produce its own electricity and sell its own product. And it worked real good for about 50 years or so. And the government got used to being in business, actually, and supporting itself by its own production. About 25, 30 years ago, they decided to go to buy it from the Texcot, or whatever it's called, the electric web all over the state that sells, that regulates who buys and who sells. And at the same time, they didn't provide for a mechanism of having income that was lost whenever they quit producing and selling juice. So that explains what the man's question. It's highly doubtful that there's any hanky-panky financially going on. It's strictly that we were addicted to being merchants of electricity, and the hanky-panky was not realizing that you had to come up with some other way of financing after you've lost your moneymaker, which was making our own electricity. So the problem is making up. It's something that's been put off 15 or 20 or 25 years. I don't know the exact date, but a long time. The problem is making up for the lost resources, which they're squeezing, which we're squeezing out of ourselves to try to make up for the lost revenue from back when we produced our own. Now this system that we have, the wires and all that are strung up, are what survives. They were part of the system, and we quit making electricity and started buying it, and what they're doing is reselling it to us at this markup. The markup is what runs the city, pretty much. I mean, there's other methods, but probably the bulk of it, the critical part is the income from the electricity that's resold to you.
And how about the taxes? They don't do anything for the city?
No, I'm saying that they do, but the critical.
So the town is run on our backs.
Exactly.
And that's wrong.
It's been wrong for about 25 years. It's just getting worse.
But I'd like to see some services for that money, because you drive down the streets in this city. Look at them.
Well,
Yeah.
so anyway, the question is how to make up for the lost revenue.
There it is.
And that, as I was saying, the wires and all have been there for all these years, and that's what is being considered to be sold to the co-op or somebody else. And at the same time, that would enable us to get a contract with them to go at their rates, which they have a different system of getting electricity. Thank you.
Why aren't we given the choice to use them then? Why do we have to use the city Why can't we use Coleman County Co-op? Why can't we have that choice?
That's the question today, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's against the law, the way the law's written.
well, it's, and most all the other towns has the right to have some, have a choice.
Just a second, let's let this lady speak, please.
May I just add that, there was a mention of all the empty houses and houses for sale. The city's also concerned with economic development. Having had a business here, I must say that the utility costs are almost prohibitive from opening a business here. The deposit is tremendous, the rates are outrageous, and, unless you're just really set with a bunch of money behind you, there's no way you can make it.
I think several people brought up one good point. We'd like to hear individually from each council person how they interpret this.
Yes.
Johnny?
As far as the petitions and all that.
No.
Gee, you didn't give us a say.
What do you think we ought to do?
Knowing what the budget is, what we're trying to do, I don't know, to be honest, I'm splitting down the middle. I understand what they're saying. I mean, I'm in debt. I've got kids in college. I wish I had a break in money because I need more. I'm the same as everybody else. I live paycheck to paycheck. But I'm sitting on this side as far as running a business when we've set a budget and I hear the complaints around town as far as the streets aren't paved, you aren't doing this and you aren't doing that. When we were charging the old fee, which was 14 cents, we were breaking even. You know, we could have 2 street guys, we could have a few of this and have a little of that, but we could never get ahead. So when we did the power cost recovery fee to get ahead, to try to start paving the streets, and that's the reason why we did it.
And to hire police officers.
And this petition goes all the way back down to 12, which is lower than what we were set at, which means that we're going to do a lot of cuts if we did, which means getting rid of some police, we have to go to volunteer fire. You're not going to get the streets paved, the cemetery's already in bad shape, it's not going to get fixed, I mean, things like that. But the comment of, why aren't we doing anything? Well, when I first came on, we did, we amended it. You know, we tried our best to save the city because we were paying the extra out of our pocket and not putting it on them.
What about the second option, selling the system?
That one I'm still split on, because I've run the numbers like you have for us. If we sell it, are we gonna have enough income to run the city?
Be glad to sit down with you and go over the
And
numbers.
if you look at the water side, if we wasn't in the drought, I'd say, yeah. I mean, we could make it up in some other places. In the drought, I don't know. But, you know, if it keeps getting drier, I don't know.
That's some alternative ways of looking at it.
But I've said from the beginning, we need to find a new profit center. Because, I mean, like you said, the city was built on electricity. We got rid of the light plant. You know, so since we're rid of the light plant, our profit center's gone, so now we're having to purchase it. What's the new profit center? And I think that's the question of the day in order to make it work.
Can we look at some other city models and see how there's cities all over the state that run this away?
Yeah.
How come we can't do it?
Right.
Has anybody looked into other city models to see what we can do to fix it?
A lot of the bigger cities have increased tax base.
Well, I know the larger cities, but there's small towns that, you know, comparable size to Coleman.
Right.
That are, you drive through that are beautiful.
That
Clean,
didn't get
the roads
into
are
a
nice.
contract in 2007 that we have to honor. That's what it boils down to, y'all. It's this contract. Can we get out of it? Yeah, if we could sell the system. But let me tell you something. You can ask Mr. Williams right here or whoever we sell it to. They are going to pass on that price. Because if we sell the system, we got to do something with the contract because we are honored to pay AEP for the electricity through 2018.
Gary, according to the reply to the RFP that was done years ago, what they said was that because they're a part of Golden Spread, that cost would be spread out through amongst Golden Spread, and they wouldn't have to just load us with that contract cost.
Right.
They might have to bump up the fee above what the co-op people are paying, but it would still be significantly less than what we're paying, and that would only be through the end of the contract or maybe an additional year, and then we would be paying the same as everyone else.
That was a guarantee?
At that time, that was part of the RFP. Yes. And this council didn't do it. Plastic thing about
I
it.
don't know. I wasn't here then, I don't know.
There's a lady back here that wanted to speak.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of towns around, you know, like Dallas and everywhere, where I hope y'all won't get mad at me, but some of the citizens in the town volunteer to help clean up the city without getting paid, without pushing out extra cash to everybody. They could save money that way. I would. I'd go clean up the cemetery for nothing, to help save money.
Back to some of the facts. That pie chart represents that little slice that comes out of there. I should have brought more copies. Is what's really left over after the citizens pay all the premiums. What the whole pie represents the total amount that's being billed, and that little pie there is what's left over to fund the city. It's an illusion. What's really happening is we have a great deal of money churning around, but only a little bit gets to the desired cause to pave the streets or fund the library, wherever you want to put the money. It isn't efficient. It's utterly inefficient. And the reason why we are having to raise the rates is because the system is inefficient, and we're getting ourselves into, if paying one credit card with another. It's that type of cycle. We need to get rid of it. We need to go ahead and get rid of this system. It doesn't work. It hurts citizens. It hurts businesses. I was asked by EDC when I started up my business, Coleman Air, whether or not I wanted to move the business over to the airport. It was a great rate as far as the real estate rate went. It was close to free. But then when I calculated what I would have to pay in electricity, I have three-phase power up there and I use a lot of power. It would have absolutely taken my profit away. That's the profit. So what you're doing is creating a situation where you don't realize that you're creating a situation that makes it almost impossible for business to flourish. It's not an efficient system. Number two, guys, thank you. Number two, we're past the point of whether or not this works or not. The citizens have already spoken. They've already told you that they want the system sold. It's a legal document, and we are going to take it to the next step. So all you're really doing by not doing this very soon, within 30 days, is incurring more costs, because we will go and get a writ of mandamus. And what that means is you will be compelled to bring it to ballot. We have a sound case, Mr. Chesser, and I think when you read it through, you'll find that the citizens are going to compel you to the next step. You're going to have to decide how tough you want the battle to be. It's already been decided. They have decided that this is the solution for today. And if it's not the best solution, then a new solution will evolve once we either sell the system, lower the rate. You folks are smart. We're going to start looking for alternatives, and that's what's going to happen. We'll see the alternative once we need to. Thank you.
I'm just listening, and I do care, and put a lot of thought into this. And I know there have been guarantees that you drop your bill quarter and things like this. I don't know how anybody can guarantee what it would be after we sold it. I don't know where this information comes from, but the thing is, it takes a lot more than just haphazardly looking at it. Yes, it might be the best thing, and I want to do what's right for Coleman, and I do care. I may be just sitting here listening, but as far as, like the young lady was saying about the streets and things like this is one thing, the reason I came in here, and we did take care of that on this budget, but the streets couldn't be redone under the new budget till the normal weather hits, and we are going to work on those.
The services, we did hire new policemen, we did hire more people for the street department, we did give them more, money for, the pavement. And, but I just don't see guaranteeing, anybody can guarantee that the rates are gonna be cut by a quarter. And, I'm very sensitive to what you're saying, and I told, Mr. Cato here a while back that I wanted to look real closely at, our budget for this next year, and I do want to drop the amount, but I can't do that right now. I want a little bit more study with it. That's where I stand. Yes.
May I ask exactly what studies have been done at this point, if any? I mean.
Individuals,
We're-
only Craig.
Well, I mean, as a council, as a
None.
city, as a government,
None.
you know, we're all saying we wanna investigate more, we wanna be sure, we wanna learn, we wanna attempt to begin. Has anybody begun? At a council or city level?
I just want to like reiterate the whole democratic process and how this works, like further from the charter. The way I think it operates according to the home rule charter is now that it's been certified, then what would normally happen is in 30 days, y'all would come up with an additional ordinance that would suit y'all's, what would work for y'all, that could counter this one. Or they can just straight up put it to the vote of the people. And the people can vote for or against this. And, you know, petition A might be voted for by some people or voted against, but petition B, it might be a majority of people voting against it. And that's how the democratic process works. And then we're just talking ourselves in circles anyways. So, but, you know, yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, I think there have been some people who have researched some of this. If you would care to, I am one of them, if you would care to listen to my side. I do not get to vote when the council does decide some of these things because I only get to vote if it is a tie. There's no way it's gonna be a tie, there's 3 people here, so there's no way. But I have researched a lot of this. I believe that there are other ways to handle this. And even though I will not be mayor after this Saturday, I believe that there are other ways, and I will pursue them. There are ways to handle what has happened to this city, and I look forward to working in some of those areas. Okay. Council, any further discussion, motion?
I don't think we heard from Councilman Payne about his
Okay.
input on this.
I did speak.
When you yelled at somebody that said something.
I do have a loud voice, I'm sorry. I do have a loud voice. All I know is I worked for the city for 30 years, and I knew how it worked. Yes, we allowed, the light plant was, everybody always called it the goose that laid the golden egg. We can't get rid of it. That's how the city makes its money. That's all I heard the whole time I was an employee for the city of Coleman. They decided because of the cost of operating it, keeping it, the air stuff, they were gonna have to do all kinds of filtering and all kinds of stuff, that it wasn't worth keeping it anymore. I mean, that's what the council decided, because of the TCEQ and the EPA and all that stuff, because they were all diesel operated engines that produced the electricity, they decided to get rid of it. When I was asked to get on this council, I've been to council meetings as a fire marshal, I've been to council meetings as just a regular person. I know I don't like these high prices either. And if you want to check my financials, sir, you're more than welcome. I don't get nothing. We don't even get the $50 that we're supposed to get. We give that to the senior center. 25, whatever it is. Well, okay. They don't even know what it is. But we're not getting any kickbacks. We're not getting anything. We don't get a cut on our electricity, we don't get a cut on our water, we don't get a cut on our sewer or our garbage. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else does, but I don't. Yes, we need to do something, but I don't want to see
Can you
my
afford your electric
friends.
bill?
I don't want, ma'am, would you please let me finish? I'm talking right now. I don't want to see my friends that are employees for the city of Coleman, like Liz, Karen, like all the guys at the fire department. It's the way I see it, that if we drop the electrical rates and we sell the system, that we are going to have to lay people off. Because that's where we were before October. Now, Mr. Allen may have a great plan, okay? I really haven't taken the time to sit down and talk to him about it. That's on me. I'll agree with you. That's on me. But I know what Mr. Cato has told me. Y'all may not like Mr. Cato, that's up to y'all. That's your opinion. I have my opinion, you have yours. If you folks didn't like the way I was handling things, why didn't somebody run against me? I'm running unopposed.
I didn't vote for you.
Nobody ran against me.
I didn't either.
I don't care whether you voted for me or not. There's nobody that ran against me. So I'm gonna do the best I can, and we're gonna try to get this situated as soon as we can.
I'll say something in defense of Mr. Payne. I invited him over to go over the numbers with him one night, and he came over to the house, and we started going over the numbers, and he admitted that accounting was not his strong suit.
Exactly right.
But,
I'm a businessman.
Yeah, we've got a CPA in here. And when you get to looking at these numbers, when you get to looking at the revenues of the electrical system, and this is where it gets tricky when you go to evaluate a system. Because there's a computer term, garbage in, garbage out. The revenues of the electrical system in the city of Coleman include a $140,000 transfer from garbage. Now that has nothing to do with selling electricity. So you have to really take a good, hard look at all of the numbers, and that can't be done in-house.
Or hasn't been. You don't know that it can't, just hasn't.
Well, and this was not Mr. Cato's doing. These books were set up this way years ago. I was looking the other day at some of the old audits of the city, and I wish they were still being done the way, I saw one that Collier Watson did, and it was really good. I mean, it was a P&L on every department, and we don't have that today. That last audit was a joke.
Okay, let's move on. I'm going to ask the council again if there is a motion. If there is not, we will move on to the next agenda item. If they want to table this, if they want to vote on it, whatever they would like to do.
Mayor, I move that we table this until the new council is on board, we have a full council, and that we table this until the meeting on the May the 21st.
Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Payne that we table this item until the new council is on board on the 21st. Second from Councilman Johnson.
I do need to let y'all know that you do have to act within 30 days, so that you're kind of pushing yourself into a corner by extending it too far. So I just want to let y'all know that on a timely basis, you must have a decision within 30 days.
From what date?
The date it was certified.
Which is 10th.
It's the day we received the certification, she said.
Right.
I have a motion from Councilman Payne, Mayor Pro Tem Payne, that we table this. Second from Councilman Jameson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries that this item will be tabled until the next city council meeting on the 1st. I truly thank you citizens for coming out tonight to talk about this. I have tried very hard to get some things done with this electrical system. I did get 2 things released that I guess was never gonna be told, that we had an extra year on it, and that we picked up the congestion fees in January because that was in the 12 contract. And I do believe there are other things that can be released, and as I stated, I will be working on this. I'll be out there with you. I'll be on your side. I am on your side now, but, I will be able to voice maybe more opinions on this. And I thank you very much for coming.
I do appreciate all of your comments, all of you that spoke, I appreciate it. Thank you. I want to hear from you.
Next item on the agenda is the city council may consider, discuss, and or take actions regarding the city's proposed comprehensive plan as approved to be placed on the agenda at the first meeting of every month as requested by Eric Joffrion and is authorized by the city council.